Get everything set up here, get my laptop, or not laptop, my iPad set up where I'm going to monitor the stream. If you're in the chat, say hello, let me know where you're from. Hello, Kismet. Glad to see you this morning. Seen a few of your videos this week. What do you got going on today? I've already recorded one video today where I got this Dunhill service lighter running. Looks like I'm going to need to make another video to address the wick, but that old wick, even as ragtag as it is, you can still light a cigarette or a joint off that, no problem. But I believe my next project here is going to be to do a little cleaning on this brass case. And go ahead and lay that case down in there. I'm just going to blow this off a little bit just to see. Sometimes you get a insert like that looks all dusty and you hit it with some air and it is all of a sudden lily white. Not so with that one, just a really used slim insert. Don't know that I've ever come across a gold colored, looks like that says J of I. I haven't gotten around to dating these or anything, but that case is really corroded and that is just nasty to me. It says solid brass on the front. It is engraved Tanya on the back. Zippo 1930 to 1990. So would you rightly call that a commemorative, I believe? Could be wrong. Anyway, I'm going to clean this up. Not crazy about the whole process. And I don't really do a whole lot of polishing. Done a little bit on some brass lighters here and there, but I believe it's warranted on this one. What do you guys think? I'm certainly not going to leave it like that. Hello, Scott. Professor's Garage is with us. Glad to have you. I was just watching your video about the Nimrod pipe style, Nimrod pipe lighter style lighter. Which, by the way, I appreciate you tagging me in that video. But I don't think I got any notification. I saw that video was a few months old. I don't think I got any notification when that was actually done. 30% concentrated vinegar. I'm going to leave this zoomed in here for a little bit. Get everything out of the way. And I don't know, I'm just assuming that's run-of-the-mill corrosion on there. I don't know, maybe I should have done some research before I put this in this bottle, but that, or maybe it was just dry because it had been in there so long, but that rubber was stuck to the bottle. And I'm going to go ahead and cover this up. And we'll just let it sit there and work here for the next little bit. I don't know if it's actually necessary that I submerge it. And I'm only using the dropper here because I don't want to get any bit of this spilled out on my work surface here. And I didn't take note really of the boundaries of that corrosion to see whether that has started eating away at that or not. And I'm getting a little bit tired of dropping this, so I'm going to see if I can pour it without spilling it. It's too bad you guys can't smell that like I can. Anyway, we'll leave that submerged for a bit. No, I don't think you're doing it wrong. You tagged me in it, and saw the tag because I later went back and hit it, see, just to make sure that that did link to mine. Sure enough, it took me right to my channel. So I have to remember that. I remember that functionality somewhere. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember now. Well, I know it asks you when you go live. It asks you if you want to go live together with somebody. But then there's also the ability to tag people, and I've seen different instructions for that in different places. Professor says that he's using one of his custom Zippos as his EDC for a few days. Are we talking about a Zippo Fanatic 77 custom, Professor? This just in case, I'll go ahead and mop this up. It didn't look like anything spilt. And there's nothing dramatic happening there with the vinegar on that corrosion just yet. And I don't know within a couple hours of this live stream whether it will or not. I've seen some really dramatic stuff happen really fast at times, and then I've seen other times where it takes a good while. And I've also got some Brasso handy. I'm sure we're going to end up polishing that up. Locate it. Oh, there's a toothpick back here. Go ahead and clean up this insert. Really, I just kind of wipe off the outside with one of these common household Clorox cloth or disinfectant cloth. We already hit that with some air a while ago and saw that didn't look like there was any dust knocking out of that. And even cleaner inside, so we're going to call that good. Wick still looks fairly substantial. This was 1990, so tell me guys, is there any chance we still got a what's the word I'm looking for? An asbestos wick in this 1990 lighter? I think it was sometime in the 1980s when they went to the newer wick. And that wick also feels like it's got a wire woven through it. Definitely stiffer. Definitely a lot of carbon buildup, soot. And I've talked a little bit about my germophobia, obsessive compulsive. Those are the things that make this part of the job a little more difficult and not as appealing. But it's just nastiness. It's just gross buildup. At least most of it is, like I said, soot, carbon from it actually burning. But you never really know. And the more putrid looking the corrosion or reaction or whatever that has occurred, you can see it, that's cleaning up pretty good down in there. And you just never know. Like I said, you start getting that green corrosion or rust. Definitely feels dirtier than just the blackness of soot, and makes you wonder exactly what contributed to that lighter getting in that condition. But there we go. We have kind of laundered that wick as we were cleaning it. We'll see how that works out. But that's the cloth we cleaned it with. And then of course a blunted end toothpick. Those come in handy. But I couldn't get the flint spring screw loose with my thumbnail. Let's see if I can find a screwdriver. Breaks free easy enough. There you can see that case in the background. Looks like that rusty looking corrosion is getting a little duller, but still present. Flint spring and screw. Tip, which looks like it has been ground concave, been hit more than once against that sharpness of the wheel, and it looks like there is no flint. So we will drop that flint down the tube. replace our flint spring and screw. We'll get it tight, make sure that it's sparking and everything's moving as it should. Tighten it on down. So now we'll have that insert ready to go when we do get the case cleaned up. Anybody out there got a significant other named Tanya? Or maybe Tanya's here with us herself. I've gotten a few comments here recently from women who are repairing lighters. That's encouraging. I've said it many times. The vast majority of maintenance and repair projects and those sort of things that have to take place to get an old lighter back up and running, if you're capable of driving a car or tying your shoes, brushing your teeth, figuring out how to work your household appliances, then you can probably do most of these projects. So anyway, we'll fuel that up when we get ready to put it in there. Let me check back here on the live chat, see if anybody else has joined in. If you have, please let us know who you are, if you're here for the first time, what it is that brought you to the vintage lighter or petrol lighter hobby. And let us know where you're from. And if you got questions about repair, that kind of thing. We got two of our old pals, been with us for a long time, Kismet and the Professor's Garage. And they both publish content here on YouTube as well as the other. I know I see Scott on Instagram. Seems like the vast majority of lighter people are on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It is TikTok that is sort of the outlier. What do you guys think of the Dunhill Service lighter? That one you have in your collection or have on your list? Said I was going to check on the live stream or the live chat, and then I did not. Yeah, I think it'll clean up. We'll see. I think it'll shine up either way. There may still be a scar, Kismet. May not shine up uniformly, but I am excited to see. I've got some Brasso here and some towels and Q-tips and cotton balls. I don't know if we'll get to that on the stream or not. Maybe that'll be the next video that I record. I recorded the clearing out the flint tube on this one. So you're going to see a few more full-length videos than we've been having. Get a 8 o'clock weekday video a few times a week, hopefully, and also I've managed over the last couple of days to get some shorts in queue, so should definitely be seeing those 6 days a week at noon. John Ammons, glad to have you join us. He says Clipper makes a good lighter. I have 2 of them. Yeah, I have a couple of Clipper butane lighters around here that are just cheap little $3.50 torch lighters, but they worked all right for the price that they were. I wasn't upset with those. Do you associate yourself with vintage lighters at all, John, or just Clipper lighters? And I guess Clipper lighters have been around long enough that Those could be vintage as well. We talking about soft flame, traditional clipper lighters, the removable flint tubes, metal one, the gas and flint, both I've had for months now. Yeah, I haven't had a metal one. I've had a few plastic ones. Let me go grab those little cheap ones I was talking about. There was a dispensary here over in Midtown back right before the may have closed down. No, I think it was after the pandemic had already got going because yeah, that's still working. And these are good enough to heat up a dab straw. You wouldn't think so with that orange flame, but they are. And they've got a piezo ignition. But there was a dispensary over there called Okie Kush Club where I was getting pre-rolls that were pre-rolled in these Mike Tyson Ranch branded terpene infused blunt wraps. Awesome. Can't remember the name of them now. I may have just... Oh, well, we used to actually have a tube that sat back here in the back. Just a little piece of paraphernalia. Sit there in a lot of our old videos. Anyway, I used to buy those over there. And they had clipper lighters, the regular refillable, which these are refillable too. But the others are refillable, but a soft flame. But of course, they've got the flint wheel mechanism that pulls out. You replace the flint. You can... Supposedly, those old clippers were popular with marijuana smokers because you could basically pull that flint unit out, that tube, and you could use that as like a tamper or poker for your bowl. Closed up my laptop here. Let me go back here and check the a professor's custom. So are you doing that same kind of etching, or how did you do that, Professor? What kind of customs did you do? And forgive me if we've talked about it before. Are you saying you were born in 1990, Scott? That's cool. I didn't realize you were that young. My son was born in 1990. Yeah, no, I don't think that one was asbestos either, just from... I think any of the asbestos wicks are going to be limp, and that one obviously has copper wire woven through it. Yeah, that's the cool thing about Dunhill, Kismet, is they've done just about everything from, really fancy stuff. I'm trying to remember, both times that I went up and visited with Ted Ballard at the National Lighter Museum, he mentioned a Dunhill being the most expensive lighter that had ever sold. And it was one that seemed like it was like a lighthouse maybe, something like that. But yeah, you have things as simple as these service lighters. You've got the Dunhill windproof lighters, which were the Fusey trench lighters. Then of course you've got petrol roller lights, roller gases, the unique lift arms, just so many iconic designs that have been put out by Dunhill. The lift arms especially are, what a lot of people think about. I think what I'm going to do is I'll just put on one of my... I saw a bunch of old COVID masks in there the other day. I'll put on a COVID mask and That way I hopefully don't breathe in, because I think there's a really good chance that there's asbestos in that wick. So I definitely don't want to breathe that in or make a habit of it or leave them lying around anywhere. So I'll put a mask on and trim that up, see if we can get a little bit more consistent flame. But it is nice to see that picking this up out of one of those rotating showcases at the co-op over at about 16th and May, right in there. Last Tuesday, I think. Anyway, as soon as I can get around to making a video for this lighter and getting that published and all, so probably maybe by this weekend. Means I got a couple more videos to record and then get published on this lighter. But this one will be for sale in the store soon, probably for $45, $50 range. And those of you, even those of you who are new, keep in mind, I will usually, there's usually a make offer, and I'll usually come down a bit. So don't ever look at it and feel like you just gotta pay what I'm asking. I will usually come down a little bit. Not trying to give stuff away necessarily. I need to make a little bit of money sometimes, but I like to sell stuff for a reasonable price, and I don't mind sitting on something. And you can look at my store over there and see there's a few things that have been there forever. That's fine. They'll eventually sell when the right person comes along, but the vast majority of the stuff that I list in that store is gone within a day or two, especially the good stuff. So, and it's not a perfect lighter. Obviously, a lot of paint missing. That's pretty typical of your World War II service lighters. But just for those of you who are watching now might be interested, like I said, I'm going to list it probably $45, $50, but I will definitely let this one go for 40 bucks. But like I said, I got a couple more videos. I want to get that wick trimmed up, hopefully stood up a little bit, and see if we can have a little bit more structurally sound wick to maintain that flame. And then again, I need to make just my regular show and tell video like I do for every lighter that I sell, because that's how this whole channel got started in the first place, was making show and tell videos so that I could embed those into the eBay listings, which of course all those eBay listings are now served through affiliate links over on our website, DependableFlame.com/current eBay listings. What do you guys think? Has that corrosion, has the concentrated vinegar lessened it any by itself yet? Give it a little bit. If it doesn't look like it's doing anything dramatic anytime soon, then I may pull it out of there, wash it with soap and water, and then see what we can do about getting the brasso out and maybe polishing some of that out. I've never had a metal clipper, but I'm keen on it. I'd like to. You said shave up Instagram, Scott. Is that like old safety razors. What are we talking about? What is shave up? And forgive me for my ignorance. Yeah, raw. I like raw. I've used plenty of raw cones over the years. For the right price, I'd like to own a raw Zippo. Something I'd like to have in my collection, but you know, I'm not really willing to pay a premium or anything like that. Hello, Friedrich. Glad to have you with us, sir. I just ran into something earlier today. I'll have to go see if I can dig that out. Glad to have you with us, Friedrich. Hope you're well. We're cleaning up an old Zippo Slim, firing up and talking about a Dunhill service lighter. It needs a little bit of attention to the wick, although it's still good enough you could use it. What do you guys think? That wick is original, which I think it is. Is it cool to cut it, or would it be better to leave it and just let the next person deal with that? My intention is to put on a mask and cut it. But I could be convinced otherwise if you guys say no. Boy, that really heated up too. But what do you think? I don't know that it had ever been fired up. The wick looked pretty clean, just looked contaminated. So it's not like this lighter was used by a soldier in World War II, I don't think. I really like the flint spring screw on these. That looks like a little flower. But for a World War II era lighter, would it be better not to cut the wick? Or you think it's alright, just go ahead and cut it. And note that I've done so. Maybe I'll just leave it like this. I can always cut the wick if the person who buys it wishes for me to. So I think maybe that's what I'll do. I'll just leave it original. And if the person who buys it requests it, then I will do that before I send it to them. Place it in what I cut off in a Ziploc, send it with it. Otherwise, leave it original and let them deal with it themselves. It's obviously not igniting perfectly, but well enough that, especially if you were just smoking commercially produced tobacco cigarettes or relighting joints that are already been lit, not trying to light them through a blunt tip or even rolled paper on the tip is really hard sometimes. You need concentrated, steady flame to get that inhaled and turned to ember. But anyway, yeah, I think we'll leave it like it is. And then that's something that it doesn't say that in the listings, but I have said that in videos many times. See the paint coming off, which is just going to happen. So I'll make my videos and then take the photos and then bag this up so that I don't lose any more paint after the photos. But it's just sort of the nature of it. With a lighter like that that's losing paint. Really cool though. Friedrich says, yeah, both types of clipper metal lighters are great, though the petrol version has been discontinued for some years. I didn't realize that there was a petrol version. There was a petrol version of the clipper? I didn't know that. So I advise if you want one to pick one up. I don't know that I've ever seen one, Friedrich, with a wick. Okay, I think I've seen those. Yeah, I've seen those in your videos, Professor. Says he did 2 customs, a Mario themed one and a Nintendo 64 etched themed one. Yes, etching style customs. Kismet says the same thing I did. He didn't know they made petrol clippers. He says I have a new lighter to find. Professor says Shave Up is my other YouTube channel. I created an Instagram account to promote that and my barbering. I haven't posted on that YouTube channel in like 2 years. Okay, gotcha. Oh, I got you. I guess shaving, barbering, that all goes together. I saw a bunch of Facebook posts recently who talked about, like in the middle of the 19th century, the 1800s, that barbers did dental work. I'm not saying anything bad about barbers. You know, knowing how to cut hair is an important thing, and you can definitely make some people upset if you don't do it right. So yeah, I'm cutting hair is. I'm not saying it's easy, but it doesn't seem quite as making somebody mad because you gave them a bad haircut doesn't seem as bad as doing something ill-advised with their teeth. But I guess when you got people who are in pain and nobody's trained to do it, then somebody fills the gap. Interesting though. And I don't know. Like I said, I saw that on Facebook. I didn't learn it at a college or university or anything like that. Yeah, so that's interesting. I don't recall ever seeing a petrol clipper. I'd never seen one of these piezo clippers until I bought these at Walgreens recently. Just because I needed a torch lighter. And again, they're not the greatest. They don't have a huge tank on them, but they're good enough. They're good enough to heat up dab torch to glowing, which is what you need. So, is anybody in the ZF77 Outdoors live stream on, was that Friday? Maybe that was last weekend. I can't remember. I dropped in, I think that was last weekend that I dropped in there. And something got my attention before I could even say hello, and I was right back out. I was only there for a minute or two. But it seemed like I saw that there was another live stream this past weekend, and I never even made it over there. Professor says, yep, the old barber surgeons, bloodletting, applying leeches, shaves, and haircuts. Yep. Well, certain set of skills, I guess you do what you do. Yeah, I can understand. Professor, I haven't paid for a haircut, I don't believe, since I was about 21 years old. I cut my hair. I had long hair and I cut it off right after I got married in 1994. And I think that was the last time I paid for a haircut. To a barbershop over there in Midwest City, Leroy Tucker. Everybody in Midwest City knows him. Cut everybody's hair over there at some point, and he did mine then, but I think that was the only time. I've gone through periods of shaving my head and having long hair, so I just cut it myself. Hello, Jay. Glad to have you with us. Says I'm heading into work soon, but glad to catch some of this video. I got mail this morning from Oklahoma City. I'm going to have to take a break from work soon and clean up this Windmaster. Oh yeah, so you purchased a lighter that came from Oklahoma City, huh? I always think that's interesting when I look at where a seller's from when they're here in Oklahoma City. Or same thing with buyers. I'm trying to think, it's, I don't know, 600, 700, 800, somewhere around in there, the number of items I've sold on this account, my DependableFlame account, and I think there's only been 2 or 3 because I used to have to handle it differently with the way that I filed my business taxes, or reported my business taxes. It's a little bit different now. Now it's all facilitator, market facilitated, whatever. So it all gets taken care of because eBay pays it, or eBay collects it and pays it, so I don't have to pay it. But anyway, long way around. I'm not even sure what I was talking. Oklahoma City. So you purchased a lighter from someone in Oklahoma City. Windmasters are good. Interesting lighters. Some interesting advertising sometimes. Scott, Professor says, first time I paid for a haircut was in Brazil when I was 21. The first time you paid for a haircut was at the age that I paid for my last haircut. So now, Scott, we were talking earlier. You said you were 1990. Is that correct? Were you born in 1990? That cracks me up if that's the case. You know, it is interesting though. As the older you get, my kids, my daughter turned 29 this year, so she'll be 30 next year. My son was born in 1990, so, oh man, I guess he'll be 35 this year. Wow, I hadn't considered that. So yeah, it's interesting to have your kids get older and pass these milestones, and sort of like me and my mother, it's sort of like generations sort of meld or fade, or maybe not fade, maybe more melding. Sort of run into each other. NFS America says no one else had bid on it. Has the old Necco candy logo, which is a candy I love. Awesome. Yeah, that is good. Necco wafers. Didn't they quit making those a few years ago and then they had to bring them back? I'll have to take it for a walk later to the store and stock up on some Necco wafers. Yeah, there you go. The professor says my mom was a hairstylist, so she cut my hair. Ah, there you go. Well, you know, my grandfather was not a hairstylist, but he cut my hair up until the time I was in junior high school. And then, yeah, he wasn't really built for cutting hair, at least the kind of haircut that you needed as a teenager. Um, he knew how to catch fish and hunt. He was an outdoorsman like you never met. But he gave me some bad haircuts. Yeah, I don't eat sugar anymore. You guys know that, so I'm not going to touch any Necco wafers. But if one of my grandkids carried them over and asked me to open them up for them, I'll gladly do it. I do love seeing them experience things like that, things they haven't had before. That case doesn't look to me like it's really doing much. Sometimes with certain sorts of corrosion, you'll see bubbling immediately. And it seems like the nastier, the more action you get, but it's not really doing much. I think I will catch up on the live stream here, or the live chat. Sorry, I'm saying all kinds of the wrong words today. I'm going to catch up on the live chat, and then I'm going to pull that case out of there, and I'm going to take it and wash it, and maybe we can get it polished up, or try to polish it up here on the live stream. Let me get caught back up here. It's on top chat, and I thought I had put it on live chat. Professor says he likes Necco wafers as well. Jay says, yep, they brought them back. I was thrilled. Friedrich and Kismet are having another conversation, I think. Friedrich also says that he thinks you can find the Necco wafers at the Dollar Tree. I'm a big fan of the Dollar Tree, Friedrich. Also, and I don't know, I haven't heard from him in a while, but if our buddy Gavin Lannon is listening or watching, for the longest time he kept harping on me that I needed to get some trays, some work trays, and I got so many of them now that they're full of stuff, Gavin, but that's where I got them at, was the Dollar Tree. Both the work trays and these long trays to line up lighters in. I don't even remember. They may be $1.25 a piece now rather than $1, but it's still worth it. Good stuff. NFS America says we have one store in my tiny town, a Dollar General, and I think I'm the only. You know, if you've got one store in your town, it is a Dollar General. I think that's written in the Constitution, or at least an amendment to it at this point, Jay. They'll put a Dollar General if a trailer park pops up out in the middle of nowhere. A Dollar General is going to be catty corner from it. If there is a small community, then they're gonna be there, and apparently in some predatory ways. If you believe some of the stuff I've read in the media. But he said one store, a Dollar General, and I think I'm the only person to ever buy Neccos there, but I do. My old 1920s Necco jar is my favorite glass candy piece I own. That's something that I hadn't really considered, Jay, is candy memorabilia being one of the things that could coincide and overlap with lighters. I'm assuming that Friedrich, you're talking about the petrol version when you said Clipper only made them for a few years. Do you know when it was that they made them? I don't really remember ever seeing any information on Clipper lighters on any of the websites. Yeah, man, I got one of those. I got a couple of those magnetic dishes around here somewhere. As a matter of fact, yeah, my problem is stuff gets put up to the extent that it is put up in between working, and then next time I get stuff out, not everything gets pulled back out. So, but yeah, the Dollar Tree trays are awesome. No Dollar General in Montana, huh? You still in Montana, Professor? 3,000 people. Well, that's big enough for a Dollar General for sure. They literally have, they've got Dollar Generals up out. I mean, like I grew up in eastern Oklahoma County, and that may not make much sense to a lot of people. Oklahoma City is a sprawling, may not be a metropolis the way most people think about it, but it takes up a lot of land. It's not only that, but it surrounds other cities, other suburbs. So anyway, I'm getting distracted. I am going to put on a pair of gloves, take out this lighter, because even if there is some reaction and dumpster diving at the Dollar General, is that what you're talking about, Kismet? Looks like I'm falling behind. I'll catch up on what you guys are talking about when I'm done with this. But still pretty gross looking. Maybe I would have been better off to have used alcohol. I don't know if that is something sticky maybe rather than corroded. But let me see about washing this off, and then maybe we will polish it. And I hope that water isn't too loud. I wish I could show you guys over here what it's actually looked like. There might still be some buildup or something there, but it's not. It's just the discoloration of the metal, I think. So I think we're going to be perfectly fine to go ahead and polish this up. And I'll have to see if it seemed like there was something else I might need to put in vinegar. I may do that while so you can see where it's still really discolored, but there's nothing on the surface. It's just discolored metal. I think this will polish up. I don't know. I don't think I need to use sandpaper or anything like that, or even steel wool. I think just polishing that hinge is got a little bit of play in it. See those barrels moving? What do you think? Is that enough you would have it repaired, or is that just, I don't know. Actually, you might be able to tighten that up just by putting a new pin in it. Doesn't look like it's loose. So maybe just a new pin. I don't know. I've never done anything like that either. But I would consider it. I'll just disclose that when I sell it. So yeah, I think we'll go ahead and polish on that a little bit. After I catch up here on the live chat. Friedrich said, I read an article the other day that was sad. It stated that Goodwill and other stores like it put all lighter donations into dumpsters for disposing. You know, I have wondered about that, Friedrich. What did I just do? My arm hit something in a... And then it looked like it locked up, so hopefully I'm still live here with you guys. I'll get back with this where I'm monitoring this when I can. But I've always wondered about that because you don't see very many lighters at them. And really, thrift stores, period, you don't see a lot of lighters. Yeah, that is awful, Kismet. Friedrich says, I believe the petrol versions were made from either 07 to 10 or it might have been 8 to 11. Okay, interesting. So not way back in the day, like... Excuse me, had to cough. So not way back in the day like most petrol versions were then. Maybe good for dumpster diving. Yeah, maybe. That's man, that's about as appealing to me though as cleaning up a sweaty old lighter that's that's turned colors. Ah, anti-dumpster diving laws. I don't know if we have those here. I'm not going to be diving any dumpsters anyway around it though. Uh, let's see. NFS America says Goodwill and Salvation Army by me both have told me they are required to throw lighters away, though I feel they take them home when they get them donated. Thankfully, we have a lot of thrift stores. That's yeah, that's a terrible thought that you would have an entire hobby here who hungers for these lighters, can't get enough of it. And then you've got a source of those lighters, a place that could funnel them from the general public back into that hobby, and instead of being helpful, they decide to destroy them. I don't think that's cool. The copper element of the brass. What do you think? Think it'll polish up all right? Yeah, I've got a few. I've seen some lighters at some thrift places around me, but the vast majority of them, they don't make it out to the shelf. I can think of one place where they've ever acted like they even knew what I was talking about when it came to lighters. Yeah, Friedrich says, yeah, it just made me sad thinking about how many vintage and antique lighters were destroyed by people making large donations to them. Yeah, think about how many families of people just like us, just like you or me or Scott or Jay. That's crazy to think that those places, which, I mean, why is it? Is it because they're anti-smoking? Is it because they feel like smoking is taboo? Friedrich says he found out they're pretty much doing the same thing with the fountain pens until recently. He says, I wonder if they even realized they were most likely throwing out 14 karat gold by doing that. Wow. Kismet talking about writing instruments. Jay also, everybody loves the old writing instruments. Talking about the brass of the lighter looking a little bit better. Yeah, we'll see. I'll put a little polish on there here in a minute. Wow, yeah, that's crazy. You're right, Friedrich. They could have been making money. Yeah, there's a lot of money in lighters. A lot of money in lighters, especially when people are giving them to you. That's one thing I, as a seller, have never had the luxury of is people. Well, I've had a few people. Our buddy Gavin Landon. Of course, I've had many people give me lighters, but not to sell. But Gavin and our buddy Robert, they have gifted lighters to the channel for us to sell. Some of which I still have and need to do. But yeah, most of us, the lighters that we get into our collection are, those places are, they may not be for profit. They may be for charities or whatever. Goodwill, I think, is a business. So I don't know why Goodwill would be doing that. That's just a foolish thing for a company like Goodwill to be doing. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. Friedrich says that's about the level of wobble I got on the brand new 2024 one I got from Zippo. Yeah, I do think that a pin, if the pin were straight, that would probably help that, because it looks like it's firmly mounted on both the lid and the case. Yeah, I agree. I think the slim lids in general are a little bit more. So yeah, I think I'll probably, the only thing I would, like I said, if I had one of those pins, which I have toyed with buying them, they're on Amazon or eBay, I've seen them somewhere, I know. If I had one of those pins, I would definitely put that in there and see if it improved. But otherwise, if I don't, then I'll just note that the hinge has some wobble. But right now I'm going to put some gloves back on and let's see if I can polish out any of that imperfection. Well, I'm trying to, I've got some flits around here somewhere, but I couldn't find it. I've got some brass though, so I'll try that. If that doesn't do it, then we'll get something else. This is not something that I have much experience with. I probably polished more things before I started working on old lighters than I have since. But I have polished a few. I remember a Camel. Camel Zippo that I bought out at 10th and May. Not the main store on the corner, but the other one. It's down the way a little bit. The one right next to it. It seemed like maybe back in the day when I first started going out there, there was another one in between there. And it's like, I don't know if I need to shake that polish up more. It's like it's separated. Anyway, I bought same time that I bought one of the Marlboro Cowboy bucking bronco and a cowboy and a bucking bronco. I bought that lighter out there. I bought a Camel that had a Tuxedo Joe medallion on it. And I ended up polishing that lighter. It cleaned up, looked a lot better. And I know some people get all up in arms anytime you start talking about polishing an old lighter, but for me, at some point, it's just a certain level of corrosion that's going to require it to be polished for me to feel like it's clean. And even though we couldn't really feel a texture, it does now that I'm polishing on this. Some of the seams more than just discoloration. And something I want to try to guard against. I know that if I apply too much pressure down here where it's so messed up, then I could end up leaving a mark that can be seen even if the discoloration is not. I have a mess here if I don't watch it. The way that polish came out of that bottle, it sort of looked like bad gravy or something. That looks a little better. I'd be saying wax on, wax off. Anybody watch Cobra Kai? Pretty good series. Complete reconstruction of the kind of show it is and all that, but the way that they take the pain of the drama of those movies and turn that into a sitcom, I think was brilliant. Well, I think this definitely may be a multiple session job for me. Because of my hands being the way they are. I'm not going to be able to sit here and buff on this thing for too much longer. What do you think? It's definitely getting better. And should get better. But I don't want any sign of that darkness. Yeah, I see those copper-lined humidors and smoking stands. Friedrich. Hands are cold. Feels like I've broken a glove, but maybe not. Should have gotten out. I'm going to take these gloves off. Should have gotten out more cotton balls when I started. What do you think? You think I'll be able to get it by hand, or will I need to use a rotary tool or something? I don't know. I might be able to find a buffing wheel in there that I can put in my drill. Not sure. Kismet said that brass looks a little bit better. I don't know what's going on here, but my iPad where I'm trying to monitor this had lagged behind. And it looks like I missed a couple of you coming in also. I Can't Aim, glad to have you with us. Killer Zombie 359, glad to have both of you with us. I Can't Aim says, yo bro, do you know how to get rid of scratches on my brass Zippo? Also, there's part of the finish is gone, but the seal being there for 30 years. Yeah, basically doing what I'm doing right now. You just need to polish those scratches out. But depending on the finish, be careful. You can definitely polish through chrome, or, you know, there are certain Zippo finishes that I would not polish. I don't know about streak chrome. Definitely a satin finish. I wouldn't polish that. Let me go back up here and start back where I left off. Wow, I fell way behind here. Okay, yeah, Friedrich says, yeah, I think some, okay, so is that when some happily or auto sew polish, should buff that out with some elbow grease. I think consider lighters a hazardous material. Yeah, so you think they're throwing them away because they're a hazardous material. Gnarly News, if you're still with us, glad to have you with us again, my friend. It's been a long time. Gnarly used to be with us all the time back when we first started doing live streams. I believe from right up the road. Isn't that right, Gnarly? You from right here in Oklahoma City somewhere? Anyway, I hope I didn't miss you, Gnarly. I hope you're still with us. Um, NFS America says they sell ashtrays. Yeah, they do. The asbestos wick, that's possible. Some pawn shops will have lighters. I agree with you. Some not. It's a weird kind of deal when it comes to pawn shops. Yeah, those original Marlboro, and there's a Camel copper also. Those are worth some good money. Children purchasing lighters from their stores. Yeah, I guess that's a possibility. Yeah, I wouldn't pay that much either, Kismet, but I've certainly sold them for more than that. I think the most expensive Zippo I ever sold was the Town and Country Geese. That sold for $800. I have to go back and look exactly. Somewhere in that neighborhood. So, do you think though, just the fact that the pin would be straight might straighten it out a little? Maybe? I don't know. Yeah, I see a lot of that too. I see a lot of overpriced stuff, Scott, and I see a lot of underpriced stuff. You know, when I go out to the antique places, I can almost always find something to buy, even if it's not a lighter. Something small, because people underprice stuff like this so much. Kismet said he'll be sending in a Slim for hinge repair, and he'll do a video on that. Yeah, yeah, that's true, Friedrich. Not only is that possible difference in the price, but you got to remember too that the vast majority of those are sitting out there in those antique places. They haven't had the flint dealt with, which, at least some, I'm not even going to say most, reputable sellers within the community. There's plenty of sellers within the community who don't clear the tubes, don't make sure they're working. They just call them untested. So. So there's different versions. There's an older version of Brasso. Yeah, the touristy areas, you definitely go into some shops, Friedrich, where you feel like that they feel like they're upscale anyway. Kismet, when I Can't Aim asked about polishing the scratches out of his Zippo, Kismet said to embrace it, let it tell a story. That's a legitimate thing as well. Gives the lighter some character. So do all Zippos have not all Zippos have a lacquer coating, do they? Yeah, we talked about that. I was commenting as I was polishing, which I need to get back to here, and I saw those comments, so I'm back, kind of caught up again anyway. So copper is antimicrobial, but it's also a moisture attractant. Interesting. Scott's still talking about the prices at the shops. I can understand that. I kind of like, I've gotten to where I'll just go ahead and take a video of something though. If there's something been sitting there, I'll just, remind myself it's there. But, I don't feel like I have to buy everything that I run into that interests me. I wouldn't have any room. And I have a hard time buying what I buy now. So the moisture will wick to the copper before the tobacco. Interesting. Scott says that he made a purchase at one of those shops at the end of the week, and they said that was their first sale all week. It never. I don't mind telling somebody that I admire something, but that I'm just not willing to pay. And a lot of times that'll immediately get them to ask what you would be willing to pay. Yeah, I need to find a buffing wheel. I don't want to leave any more marks than necessary though. Yeah, no, that's the thing that a lot of places don't understand. But, they'll figure it out when it doesn't sell. But they probably mark stuff down on a regular basis. Like, I regularly walk back in and see those same lighters still sitting there. Hello, Jin Kim. Glad to have you with us. Been a while. Yeah, it has been a while since... Well, I can't remember. We probably started back up a couple months ago doing live streams, trying to every Monday. If not, then we do it on Tuesday, and maybe we've thrown a couple others in on Fridays. So glad to have you with us, sir. Always. Did you see the video of the Cobra Head Zippo that I found last week? That was a new one for me. Professor says he's going to wait a while and go back. Jay says his first real lighter is his 2000 Zippo. He's been carrying that for 25 years this December. It's officially vintage. Yeah, I got a few things like that. A few things that were handed down to me that I've used for quite some time. Friedrich says he used to have an antique jaw harp that he'd play occasionally till he found out it was lead-based pewter, and then decided that might not be a good idea. Says he still has the Zippo that he bought in high school, which he says admittedly it's getting ready to turn 50 years old this year. Yeah, I guess I'm about 36 years removed from school myself. Yeah, untested. I see it from reputable people in the hobby. I don't know. I can see selling lots as untested, but individual lighters as untested, I don't really get that. Friedrich says, Jay says that untested is his top eBay search. Friedrich says anytime he sees that, he changes that in his head to parts. I just kind of laugh at it because it tells me that they just didn't want to. They want to play ignorant. They want to act like they don't know, even if they did know. Oh, the brass and the copper high polish have the lacquer coating. I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I have one of those Harbor Freight buffing wheels around here somewhere, but who knows how long it would take me to find it. I'd probably be better off just go buy another one. Yeah, I found a Cobra head and some stuff. Let me get it out here. Yeah, you can, that reaction in that unboxing video, or not really an unboxing, more revealing video. But it was the second of the two. Got 4 dots on each side. I'm trying to remember where I, depending on where I looked, one site said it was 56, another said 57. One of the sites said 56 should be blank, no dots. Anyway, is well used, and you know, sweeping on the windscreen and all that, but nonetheless, an intact Cobra head. So I'd already purchased it, had it home, showing it off in the video before I even knew what I had. Pretty cool. Hello, Mark Burris. Glad to have you with us. Friedrich says, I think 4 dots on each side is 57, and the Cobra head insert is from 56 to mid 57. Kismet says, on the side I look at, that says it is a 56. I think that's what Moonlight Zippo said, Kismet. I'll bet Jin Ken has his own opinion, though, and he probably knows for sure. Here I am taking off my gloves. I'm going to polish on that a little bit more just to see if we can get any difference. I hope to hang on here. I haven't gotten any warnings yet about my battery, so if I do, I'll try to get that off the screen. And Jim Kim says slims are a bit harder to nail down, but arguably 56, 57 for those dots. I agree with all Friedrich and Kismet wrote. Actually, 56, 57, or 57 is close enough for those. Yeah, so there you go. I'll keep that in mind. As a matter of fact, I'm going to screenshot what you just said there, Jin Kim, because this will likely be a lighter that will be sold. Not only Zippos that are in my collection are personal to me in one way or another, so I don't really see that that's one that I'll be keeping. So 56 or 57 or just 57 with the Cobra head insert. And what do you think? Think I'm better off to go ahead and clean that up, get it working, trim the wick if necessary. It's what I've done in the vast majority. I can only think of one time that I didn't, where there was a lighter that I knew was not new, that I didn't fire up. And that was a Black Crackle Zippo that belonged to a Navy admiral. actually a fellow Okie Navy Admiral, Officer Admiral J.J. Clark, fellow Cherokee Indian as well, I believe. And I owned several pieces that had once belonged to him. This is the last piece. We were talking about this last night. That's the reason I even had this out. This is the last piece that I have from that 37-piece collection that I bought back in spring of 2018. That's the last really cool collection, but that Black Crackle Zippo, I didn't trim the wick, and I don't think I lit that one either. I've lit the other two Black Crackles that I had. And maybe that Black Crackle may have even been brand new. It didn't have a box, but it may not have been any evidence that it had been lit, so maybe that's why I did that. But I remember thinking that wick needed to be manicured, it needed to be trimmed, but I just felt like with a lighter like a Black Crackle, I needed to leave that to whoever was going to buy it. But I don't know, I hadn't even looked. I'm not even sure what to expect from a lighter like that. It's not in great condition. It's not terrible. So I'm sure it has value, but not Black Crackle value, I'm sure of that. Well, I wouldn't think anyway. But cool to find it anyway around it. Whatever condition it's in, whatever value it has, I'm happy to find it. We're getting better, but still some pretty heavy discoloration. Jay says, "Well, I have you. I'm working on this Necco lighter as I listen here, and I'm supposed to be working." Are you self-employed, Jay? Mark says, "Hard felt can leave ghost marks if you're not real careful." Yeah, that's what I mentioned that earlier. It's one reason why I don't do a lot of polishing. But you know, there's a certain amount of pressure that, and I don't know, would it be better off taking wide swaths with something with my hand, or would it be better off with a rotary tool? I think even with the rotary tool, as deep as I'm going to get to need, or as deep as I'm going to need to get for some of this, I run a risk anyway around it of leaving some marks. But for what I paid for this lighter, I can afford to make a mistake or two if that's what happens. I'm not going to be stressed out about it either way. And there was my 20% warning, so we've been on here for almost 100 minutes now, 99 minutes and 23 seconds. Appreciate all of you joining us, and I'm not planning on going anywhere just yet. Just letting you know. We've got the Arts Festival in Oklahoma City this week. We've also got all kinds of spring stuff coming around. Night markets down at Scissortail. We've got the Steamroller Festival coming up here in Deep Deuce. I think the first weekend in May. I'm not sure of that exactly. Sometime in May. Steamroller Festival, where they take these reverse etchings and put them out on the ground underneath these frameworks with ink, and then run over them with a steamroller. Run over them right out here in the street. Pretty cool. trying to remember. I know I've taken some video in the past, but I don't think I've ever edited any of that together and published it. Maybe I do that, give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about. But really cool. I don't know if that's something that they do elsewhere. Basically, it's a form of artwork that I think it's really expensive typically to have the machine work to do, but when they use a steamroller like that, they just borrow that from a construction company or the city for the weekend or whatever. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, where did I leave off up here? Friedrich says, agreed, Mark, talking about leaving ghost marks. He said, I call those polishing clouds. I'll take a polishing cloud or two if I can just get rid of the ugliness of those dark marks. We'll see. I think that maybe we can get there. If I mar up the lighter on the way, then we'll learn a lesson. Any way around it, by the time we're done, I think we'll have a lighter that will be presentable enough one way or the other and will work so that somebody who has a significant other named Tanya might want to give this lighter to them. Definitely getting there. But I'm not going to do too much here because I'm not going to work till my hands are numb. And then I'm in pain for the rest of the evening. So let me go back up here. All right, now I've skipped over. I got to go back. Friedrich said, I only had a 50% chance rate of non-parts lighters from Lightersaurus on eBay. Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far. His are definitely untested. And not only that, but have you noticed, I don't even think that's a man running that account anymore. But I have bought so many lighters from that one individual. Oh, you're saying on the last purchase. I got you. Let's see. We went back. We talked about the insert. Mark and Friedrich talked about the polishing clouds. Professor said I did inform a different antique owner about taking out flints and the zip gate code or date code. Yeah, that's good information to have too. Jay says this Windmaster has 3 felt pads and no wadding. Interesting. Instead, it's complete. Sawdust. Yep. They'll have sawdust in them. And that felt pad down in the bottom. He says, I have never had one totally filled with sawdust before. Should I leave that or replace with cotton? That's completely up to you, man. If it was me, I would replace it. But that's just me. I don't like dealing with I don't want that sawdust to fall out of there at another time. So, if you want to keep it original, though, nothing wrong with that either. Friedrich says he's using a Storm King or Storm Queen from the 40s, early 50s. Yeah, it's an insert style lighter he's talking about though. Storm Master or Wind Master. Interesting. I don't know, man. I don't know if I buy that. I think sometimes they did stuff that they said was specifically for reasons that was just for the reason that it was convenient for them to do at the time. Friedrich said, as wadding can't be packed properly around the wick and flint tube due to design, limiting lighter efficiency if replaced with cotton wadding. What? I don't understand. Oh, the Evans. You're talking about the Evans. Gotcha. I'd have to think. Yeah, it is. There's a lot going on inside those Evans tanks for sure. No doubt about that. But yeah, with it being the insert style Windmaster, I'd definitely dump that. If you want to keep it original, then yeah, that's one thing. But if you're going to use it, Jay, and I think you use everything, then I would definitely get rid of it. Definitely getting more shiny on this side of the lighter. Well, we kind of went over all of it earlier. Shined it all up a little bit. But this is good enough already that somebody could, it's clean enough to use. And I think I'll get it. We'll see. I'm glad that if I were to ever do another polishing like this, maybe this is the way to do it. At least start it on a live stream. If I need to finish it later, want to finish it on camera, that I can do that. But I'd be really mad at myself if I was having to sit here and record this and wait until I was giving my hands a rest. This is the kind of work that I would need rest from often. But fortunately here, the way I'm holding this, I'm not really putting that much pressure on my hand. I'm just holding it. Doing all the movement over here with my left shoulder, not the hand. And I don't have any problems in that particular shoulder, so. But every time I focus here on this, I fall behind over here on the chat. So I apologize if I miss anything. Please bring it up if I have overlooked anything. Jen Kim says, lost internet at just the wrong moment. Anyway, I see Cobra Head Slim several times a year. I've seen 2 examples very much like yourself are right around $100 when properly identified. Well, that's definitely good news. I'll get that cleaned up, working. Like I said, it'll definitely be for sale at some point. All of these will be for sale at some point. That Dunhill back there, we talked about it earlier. I'm going to try to get it up, listed by the weekend. You may see a couple more videos for that lighter this week. Well, I guess you haven't actually seen a dedicated video for that lighter yet. You've just seen it in the reveal video. This is about the 3rd cotton ball that has just been completely trashed. So we'll keep working on that. So obviously still some spots to work out of it, but way better than it was. Way better. And then once we get that all, or as off of there as we can, off of there, out of there, however you would best describe it, then we'll try to blend in the rest of it, get it all as shiny as possible. But that's about all the polishing I want to do for the moment. Trying to figure out where to go back up here. Silver Stacks, glad to have you with us. Sorry that I missed you earlier. He's asked about a Ronson touch tip. I've actually got a touch tip video that's going to be published here in about 9 minutes. The short for today is a touch tip. One that I owned several years ago for a short period of time. What is your question about the touch tip? I'm not sure what you mean by whatnot. Stormmaster. Okay, Stormmaster and Windmaster both though. Stormmaster's Bowers, right? Kalamazoo, Michigan, Jay. But they both had, they both used, what do you call it? Sawdust in the tanks at different times. Oh, he says he bought one yesterday on Whatnot. That's cool. Yeah, Ronson touch tips are cool, man. Some of the coolest table lighters out there. And like I said, check out our short that'll be published here at noon today, noon Central. That's exactly what it is. Definitely a lot of parts out there if you need parts, or ton of touch tips out there. They're not cheap though. Yeah, Friedrich says a complicated permanent match. Jay says, I do use everything, very few just sit unused, and only because they've never been before used, and I haven't brought myself to break them in yet. Their times will come. Yep, I know exactly what you mean. I got a few lighters exactly like that. Kismet says he's in the same boat. He likes using his stuff. Friedrich says, I use all my stuff, even if bought new old stock. I annoy some folks at pen shows on purpose by inking up new old stock pens out of their package. Yeah, that's cool. Friedrich says it gives a perspective of what something feels with no use versus a well-used and loved item. NFS America says absolutely. The new old stock ones I tend to leave for others unless it's one I really want, but there are a few I will use for the first time soon, I'm sure. Friedrich says it changes in pens just like lighters. Jay says he's a big fan of character. I am too. I think I think that's the great thing about it, using used items. Friedrich says, I have a friend who only collects items with dents, dings, names engraved, etc. Yep. Jay says, I love that. It is awesome. That's just shows you that there's nothing that can't be salvaged. There's nothing that someone can't use. Friedrich says, he invents a personal story in his mind to each item as he uses it. Jin Kim says, standard size Cobra head lighters are like hen's teeth. Saw one that was not properly identified and it sold for a criminally low price, but I forgot to bid. My biggest Zippo regret. Yeah, I've had a few of those. Not on that particular Zippo or even Zippos, but we've all had those items where we forget to bid or get busy and forget to bid, get distracted. The professor says that's a beautiful thing your friend does, Friedrich. Junior Knife Collector, glad to have you with us again. Yeah, Friedrich, we all definitely have some regrets when it comes to lighters we didn't bid on or didn't buy. You know, I just think it's cool to think about. Like Tanya. I don't know who Tanya was. I think there's a good chance it's someone else named Tanya. I don't know a Tanya that I can think of right at the moment that I could give this lighter to. But definitely someone named Tanya could benefit from it. But I like thinking about that and who Tanya might have been and where she lived. You know, the more information that is engraved on a lighter, the more that you can kind of make out of the story yourself. Where it's just a name and that's all you got to name. Silver Stacks, you said, am I speaking to you about the lighter? I can't remember what I was speaking to you about a while ago, but yeah, about the touch tip. Yeah, I was speaking to you about the touch tip. Your touch tip won't throw a spark? I haven't cleaned any, I still haven't done any of that you're talking about, Friedrich, if you're talking to me. Or are you telling Silver Stacks that about his touch tip? Friedrich says, my worst Zippo regret is long ago a dealer had a store box of the affixed Armed Forces emblem on black crackles, but at the time it was just a lark, and back in the pre-ATM days and past banking hours. And of course I didn't have enough cash on hand. Silver Stack says, I'm wondering, do you sell lighters on the bay? Yeah, I did figure that out, Friedrich, that you two were discussing up there. Yeah, I do sell on eBay for, Silver Stacks. There are probably several people in the room here right now that sell on eBay. But yeah, I serve all that through my site, DependableFlame.com/current eBay listings. Those are affiliate links. They're also, you know, sometimes those affiliate links are employed for products that aren't mine, but on that page they are mine. So I might write a review for something else on eBay, but on that current eBay listings page, those are my lighters that I'm selling. But then I also earn a commission when you click through those links and purchase them from that page on the site. But everything I sell goes through eBay. Yeah, Professor mentioned bidding on the Nimrod pipe lighter, and that's the way I am, Professor. There's plenty of stuff. I mean, if it was just about what I liked, I could get on eBay and buy all day, every day. But it's just not the way I do buy. I've always bought everything discounted. If I can't get a deal, then I'm not buying it. And so I'll wait. I'll wait. And I've owned plenty of cool lighters by buying the way I do. I'm happy to keep buying that way, but you just got to be patient. That's all. I think he's looking for the tube style, the nut and bolt style. And then Mark is complimenting Professor on his copper 912S. I've seen a few of those videos too. Appreciate all you guys and the content you've been publishing. Feel free to share that over on the